Black Ops 4 is probably one of the most complex Call of Duty titles we have ever seen. This is the second time in history where they completely changed how you heal yourself. First time being Call of Duty Modern Warfare 1 with the automatic regen system. They also completely scrapped the health system in the game and bumped the health up to 150 compared to 100. They also designed this Call of Duty title to be insanely fast paced, and all the guns have their own special and unique recoil patterns. So I understand a lot of people might be a little iffy with this game and think it is just a little too far out for them to enjoy it, but I decided to put some tips and tricks together to hopefully help anyone who is struggling with this game. Tip number 1, finding the right specialist for you. Finding a specialist that fits your playstyle might be a little confusing at first, but the more you play the game, you will have time to experiment with all of the specialists and figure out which one is best for you. But keep this in mind, if you choose a specialist that is completely different from your playstyle, you won't really have a fun time using it. If you prefer a more laid-back playstyle, holding an objective or position down, I would highly recommend starting off with Torque. Other specialists like Nomad and Prophet are very good for defensive players, but if you're starting out fresh with Black Ops 4 and you're struggling just a tad bit, the Torque will be the way to go. It comes with a deployable shield that has a heat wave coming out of the front, pretty much turning anyone who walks in front of it into a piece of French toast. You think that is overpowered for holding a position down? Well, this man also comes with barbed wire, which is 110% impossible to completely walk through without dying. If you put it in a good position so that, can't walk around it, of course. Also notice that team members rarely will shoot the shields and barbed wire, so some matches, they will literally almost stay up all game. So if you are new and are a defensive player, I would suggest giving Torque a try. What if you are very aggressive, want as much action as you can get? Well, for beginners who play this game, I would suggest Ajax. Ajax comes with a 9-bang that will flash enemies for a long period of time, allowing you to push into specific locations and clear out areas of the map. It is especially good for pushing B flags in domination, and I can't even explain how many times Ajax has come in clutch to get that B flag with the 9-bangs and the riot shield. Works like a charm. I understand that a lot of people despise Ajax and hate his special abilities, but it is honestly not that hard to counter. After Ajax puts up his shield completely, he can't run after he puts it back down for a few seconds. He's very easy to outrun and also outflank. I think a lot of people are too single-minded and just continuously push him from the same direction, which I don't understand how that logic works since he is using a riot shield. But I personally think you can outflank him nicely. But let's just say you are in the middle. You enjoy playing all styles, pushing and defending. Well, Crash is for you. He's a perfect team player because his special ability heals all of your teammates, including yourself, up to 200 health. And that is a huge game changer, especially since the regular people that you go up against are going to be having the typical amount of health that is 150. He also throws down ammo, which will completely top off your ammo for the life you spawned in. I personally think every team should have a Crash player just because he really is that crucial to a victory. Tip number 2, finding out which guns are for you. Finding your right gun is like trying on clothes. You gotta keep trying and trying and trying until you find something that fits for you. But I'm here to simplify this to make your life a tad bit easier if you're just beginning on Black Ops 4. For assault rifles for any beginner, I would tell you to use the ICR. This is easily the most reliable gun in the game, very steady recoil pattern, and a decent damage. You really can't go wrong with it. Yes, there are many better guns in the game, like I would prefer a Maddox or Vapor over an ICR. But for anyone who is just getting the feel for this game, I would say give the ICR a go until you feel comfortable enough to try other options. The gun isn't so insanely overpowered that you will be melting people 24/7, but it is definitely consistent enough that it will help any beginner get the feel for the assault rifles in this game. Then for the SMGs, I think your best option would be the GKS. It would be the second SMG you unlock, so it won't be that bad of a grind to unlock. Personally, I prefer the Spitfire, but for anyone who is just starting out, I wouldn't jump to a gun like that. The GKS is a very reliable submachine gun, has a very steady recoil, almost non-existent. It reminds me almost of the MP7 from Modern Warfare 3. Ugh, such a good day. Such a good time for Call of Duty. And on top of that, the damage isn't that bad either. Yes, you will probably not win many gunfights against someone using a SOG or Spitfire, but you can honestly engage in gunfights with other players who are using assault rifles or even LMGs at long range without worrying about losing the gunfight. It will allow you to slowly transition into the new pace that COD has to offer with Black Ops 4. Now for the LMGs, and in Black Ops 4 there are only 3. Honestly, the only LMG you need in the first place is the Titan. This LMG is nasty. It has a slow fire rate, but will kill anyone in 2 to 3 shots depending on the range. It is very effective at holding down objectives or giving that fire support from a little further away from the battlefield. Then snipers. I'm not too big of a fan of snipers just because I prefer to run and gun, but it seems that the majority of the community enjoys to use the Paladin. It seems to be the most consistent sniper rifle and also the most reliable. Tip number 3. Use Seraph's spawn beacon. This absolutely drives me crazy. The amount of times I'm playing Domination and I put my spawn beacon at B, then I openly say over the microphone to all my teammates to spawn on the spawn beacon so they can get closer to B. Yet, they are still spawning all the way back on either A or C. So I'm going to say this now. There's a reason that you don't just automatically spawn back into the game. There's a reason why you are forced to look at the map before spawning. Because there's always a chance that you can spawn on a spawn beacon. It will show up at a blue marker on the map, very noticeable if you ask me, and all you must do is click it and you will spawn directly by the beacon. But please, start spawning on these. There's no point to spawn so far away from the objective if you can just literally spawn right on it. Tip number 4. This one's very simple, but honestly I see a lot of people who still do this. Just look up. The toes are not a viable option. Just look a little higher. A common thing that I see from players is that they are always looking down at the ground while running. So when they have to engage with an enemy, instead of just strafing and engaging, they have to look all the way up to see them. Then aim and begin to fight. By the time that they have to look up from the ground to look at the enemy, they will already be looking at your head. Try to look at head level or even chest level while you run around the map. It will make your experience a lot easier and more fun. Also, if you want to go the extra step, start memorizing the map and the hotspots that people tend to run towards. It will make your life a lot easier knowing where enemies will be coming, because then you can already have your cursor set and aimed at the specific location, so just in case someone does turn that corner or go in that doorway, you will be one step ahead of them and ready to engage with them. COD is all about reaction time and aiming. So if you learn the hotspots and look a little higher, you will be in a good place while playing Black Ops 4. Tip number 5. Play the objective. This tip pretty much works for all FPS games, but playing the objective is crucial. Now I understand if you're playing TDM or free-for-all, the objective is to kill people. But when you're playing Domination, Hardpoint, or even Kill Confirm, don't be that guy coasting out on the outskirts of the map unless you're using a sniper. I find it much easier to get kills when you actually play the objective. A lot of people think that the objective means instant death, especially new players. But in my personal opinion, there's no better way to get better at the game than playing the objective. More action happens, and at least you'll be contributing to the team effort instead of not doing anything to help for the win. You gotta believe me, it'll feel a lot more rewarding when you actually see a lot more objective stats on your leaderboard than KD ratio type stats. It feels really good at the end game. Tip number 6. Always heal. I can't even express how crucial Stim Shot is. You can choose to put Stim Shot on in the gear section under one of your create a classes. Yes, you can choose between other items such as body armor or acoustic sensor, but it just doesn't outbeat the factor of being able to heal quicker. I heal almost every gunfight, or even every gunfight that I don't feel like I'm going to win. I quickly duck back behind cover, heal, then come back out to finish off my enemy. More than half the time I do this, the enemy did not think to back up and heal themselves, leaving them at 50% health while I'm now back to 150 health. Now that you have to manually heal instead of being able to auto-regen, allows you to control when you want to heal up. So you don't have to wait a certain amount of time to heal. You can pretty much heal instantly anytime you have a Stim Shot ready to use. But enabling Stim Shot in the gear section of Create a Class will allow you to heal quicker, have the regen speed of the Stim Shot itself decrease in time, making it faster to get again, and also you can hold your gun and hip fire while healing as well. Try to get used to healing more often and quicker after getting shot. The faster you heal, the better of a chance you have to win the gunfight. If you wait too long, your opponent might heal up quicker than you, then your odds of winning that gunfight might dwindle very quickly. Tip number 7. Learn when to run from a gunfight. This seems to be a problem for FPS players, especially COD players, where they feel the need to challenge and stick every single gunfight they engage in. But sometimes you just have to accept the fact that you are going to lose that gunfight and should flee to a better position. A lot of people consider this a bitch move, but you are better and more effective on your team alive compared to dead. When you engage in gunfights, you should automatically notice a few things before engaging in the first second you see your enemy. What cover do they have? What gun are they using? And what range are they at? If they are on a mean looking head glitch, I would not even consider fighting them. Unless you are confident that the people you are versing are that bad, then go ahead and engage. But 99.9% of the time, you will lose that gunfight unless you have an equal head glitch spot. Noticing the gun that they currently have will allow you to engage a lot easier without stressing about what is going on. Let's say you see a guy at long range and you're using the ICR, but you notice that they're using a Spitfire. That's a perfect situation for you, and I would engage. But let's say you're rocking an SMG and you see someone across the map with a Titan LMG, then I would not even consider engaging, and try to lure him a little closer so you can engage back. Tip number 8. Use cover. This one pretty much explains itself. Use some cover. I can't even explain how many times I found a nice spot where I could hold down a lane with my assault rifle, and people just come pouring out in the open, obviously thinking that cover does not matter and that they will pluck me off my head glitch instantly, only to find out that I shredded half their team in less than 3 seconds. Then after all of this, they complain how I'm using cover. Like using cover is a bad thing? Please just use cover. That is what it is put in the game for. There's cover scattered all around these maps for AR players and SMG players, so there's not really any excuse to be caught in the open. When you move around the map, you should not be moving freely. You should always have cover in your sight that you are moving towards. So you should be moving from cover to cover in order to rotate around the map. This way, if you do get caught out in the open, you will already have cover that is in your line of sight that you can quickly get to, instead of just accepting your fate and trying to fight back in the open. Tip number 9. Learn your enemies. These are not bots that you're versing. These are real people with real brains, and they all have the same intentions of winning the match. So each person you verse will be unique in their own way, so learn them. Learn the paths that they're taking. Study the weapons they're using. How many of their players are rushing compared to camping. And learn the players' names and specialists so they're easier to identify. Understanding your opponents is 100% in the top 10 ways of becoming better at COD, because once you learn your enemy, especially if they don't put in the effort of figuring out how to play, then you pretty much got them in a checkmate. Tip number 10. Don't be afraid to change your class mid-game. Now a lot of people I know usually will pick one class and that is it. They will refuse to change it throughout the whole match and will stick with it no matter what. But sometimes you just gotta change and stop putting yourself through hell. Sometimes you'll choose an AR, but the people you are versing are in your face 24/7 with SMGs. So change to an SMG so you can compete. Same if you're using an SMG, but everyone is camping in the back of the map with long-ranged ARs and LMGs. So change to an AR or LMGs to compete. Don't force yourself to go through a whole match with a class that can't compete with the current match that you are in. The Call of Duty flow constantly changes, so you have to be ready to adapt and change at a moment's notice. Alright everyone, that is it for this video, and these are my tips and tricks to becoming better at Call of Duty Black Ops 4. Leave a comment down below on if these tips helped you out in any type of way. These tips are not just for new players, but hopefully experienced players can take some of these tips and implement them into their Call of Duty routine as well. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you leave a like. If you hated it, dislike. You can check out my live streams on Twitch at JBoneTheMan, and you can also chat with me on Twitter at JBoneTheMan. Also, if you enjoyed watching this video, subscribe to the channel and hit that bell notification button to be notified on more future content. Thank you all for tuning in, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out.